All right. Happy Thursday, guys. How's it going?
Happy
Pretty good.
Thursday.
It's doing
Good.
good?
Thursday.
Happy
Yeah.
Thursday. I love it. Sweet. So last week we did a Revit 2023 What's New unboxing, and that was really good. And then I was actually selfishly more excited about this one. So I mentioned, I don't know about you guys. Let's do introductions. So today we have Ben Guler, Jim Grieve, and Clara Fonteboa on our team. And Clara is one of our design technologists who's going to be kind of showing us Dynamo, what's new in it. And we have a lot of questions, but I just want to say, like, I was really excited about this session. And I don't know about you guys, but I saw the new list. I've been privy to some of what's going on with Dynamo, and I felt like Dynamo kind of stole the show this year. Like I feel like all the features, the UI, they completely changed it. Not to steal too much of your thunder, Clara, but it's like I'm really excited about this new Dynamo. I don't know if you guys have comment or on that.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Bill. I think there's a lot of I think the kind of the new UI and the new aesthetic. I think it looks a lot more polished. I think there's a lot of things that I used to do myself personally. I would just kind of add certain nodes in a certain way to kind of workarounds for certain ways to have aesthetic for my graph, and now those are actually like built-in features. And so there's a lot of significant kind of work done within Dynamo that makes it just look that next level. And I think functionally too is very kind of useful for end users to kind of even kind of if they're entering new into Dynamo, it's just easier and more intuitive to kind of use it basically. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I agree with that as well. Like I feel like they put a lot of work on creating a better user experience for the end user, like the person that is gonna be like running the script on a day to day, but also empowering the Dynamo creators to document that product that they're creating better and tie that back to Dynamo Player, which is the final step on the script to like help the end user to use it properly on their day-to-day basis.
That's great. Yeah, that's great, Clara. Thanks.
And I'm
go
the
ahead, Jim.
Dynamo noob in the group, so I'm just here to learn about what's new. But it's all pretty new to me, so yeah, I'm excited.
Love it. Thanks, Jim. Jim,
Awesome.
wrote a Dynamo script a few weeks ago that you
I
shared
did.
with me.
Yeah, it was super complex. I think I exported something to Excel or something. It was really impressive. So yeah,
I love it. That's great.
yeah. I'll share it with the audience if they're interested.
That's great. Sweet. So as we're jumping in here, we want to make sure that there's a lot of questions. If there's comments that you guys have, we're going to turn it over to Claire here pretty soon. But it'd be great just to kind of hear where everyone's listening from or watching from. Even if you're watching this post stream, it'd be great to know where you guys are at. And before we really jump into it, Clara, when you joined the team, you were sharing with me all these cool little 3D printed toys and things that you create. And Grasshopper is one of those tools that you and I both really share an affinity for in the sense of like computational design and parametric modeling. And Marcella did this great example a few years ago on like practical uses for Dynamo, which I think we'll be showing some of that. Like I think you definitely can do some form finding and things like that with Dynamo, but in my opinion, it's more related to how do you automate a lot of things on the Revit side. Before we jump into that, I'm curious, can you share with us your little Lego creation that you built this week? What do you have going on there in the background?
Yeah, so this is like it's like a physical version of like things that we can build in Grasshopper, right? And it's just like a very it's not simple. It's a complex structure here that you can actually like move. And this when I saw like I created this from a video that I watched on YouTube, and maybe we can actually make a link or a reference to that. And it reminded me of some work that I did when I was at school too, which was based on the research that a guy called Ron Wesch did on the 60s. And like I could see that complex system inside of this pattern that like you have the squares here, and then you have the points that they join, and they kind of move in opposite directions, and you can create this movement, and it's slowly being destroyed. But so like one piece moves, and it moves the other ones on the side together, but it's flexible enough that you can kind of like open one side and keep the other side is still closed. And I was actually thinking about Grasshopper when I was building this. Like I think I'm going to create a Grasshopper script that simulates this, and this could be like a cool window or shade that like whenever the sun hits a place, it just closes and the other ones stay open.
Yeah.
You know, like I have so many ideas about this. It's so cool.
What's really cool about that is the incorporation of sunlight. If you did do that, like it's dynamic in that sense too. The structure is dynamic, but then the sunlight augments that dynamic element. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm gonna like break out my kids' Legos and like start building some of this stuff. It's not going to be as good as yours, of course,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it's
all you need is just 400 of like this little piece, which is the plate 1x4, and you can create that.
okay.
Yeah.
Very
How
cool.
much time would you say it took to build that, Clara?
A Sunday afternoon.
Oh, nice.
Well, I had the video, like I just rewatched the video slowly and I built, and then I kind of understood how the things went together, and I just continued creating the pieces. But it's super cool. Like I really recommend for those who like Lego and cool little mechanical things to test it out.
Yeah, it's sweet. I'm selfishly very interested in that. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so you could do these kinds of things with Grasshopper, design these kind of dynamic structures or Legos, if you will, for maybe less practical examples, but some fun things. And then there's Dynamo, which you can do these things as well. But today we want to talk about what's new in Dynamo. And Clara, you've been really exposed to this as you've been talking to different team members, and you build a lot of the Dynamo scripts for EvolveLAB. And so what I'd love is to turn the screen over to you. So I'm going to turn it so you're sharing your screen. And maybe you could just talk to us, like, what's going on with this new version that was just released?
All right, so on the screen here you can see I have Revit 2022 on one side and the 2023 on the other side, and both Dynamo players open. So I'm gonna start with Dynamo player and show like the end of the tail on when you're creating a script, right? And what the end user would be exposed to, and how what all the improvements on the Dynamo player we have. So as you can see, like this is the old one and this is the newer one. The new Dynamo player looks a lot like the generative design tool and is importing a lot of the features it has from it. It looks different already, and as you can see, you actually have more information here, even though it's a smaller package. I want to start from the top. Before, you could only like add one folder here, and you'd see all the scripts here that you have on that folder. But the new Dynamo player, now you can add multiple folders at the same time. And I'm just gonna give an example here. And one thing that I still find a little annoying about Dynamo is that it's on the top of everything. But let's just do that. Yeah. Here I just created a new folder here as an example, and I'm gonna select this folder, and it shows off here, and I can remove or add more. And now whenever I looking for my script, I have access to all the folders that I linked in here to easily access, like the Autodesk samples and any other folder that I have in my system with all the dynamos that I use. So coming back here to the examples we created, and I want to open the other Dynamo player as well. So that is a plus. You can also search, which is already what we had before, and this is good for like if you have lots of scripts on the same folder, you can just filter it out here, and it's going to filter out from the folder that you have chosen here. That's
Yeah, I
what
really
this
like
is
how
for.
simple they made it so that you just have like a drop down and you can add as many items you want there. So if you're working on like 2 major projects and one of them has all these scripts that are just relevant to that project, you'd probably want to add that, and then you just see all the scripts related to that. And then maybe there's a common one where everyone looks and these scripts are more general based. You could just drop down on that. So I really do like this change.
Yeah, I'm also like, it's such a simple little thing, right? I mean, on the back end, it's not simple to implement, but like it's just a simple thing on the UI that just makes it so much easier to find things, to like create your ecosystem of Dynamo players that you can subdivide and all that. So I'm also very excited about this change.
Yeah, and regarding the generative design, I think this is technically actually part of that same kind of process, technically, in the back end. So they're almost an extension of one another. So which is makes so much sense for those to be intertwined together as they work with one another that way.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's kind of like they are like an extension from Dynamo, right? You have the generative design that you can create the dynamos for, and you have the Dynamo player also opening those Dynamo graphs inside. So like it kind of makes sense that they are part of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for those that don't know, the generative design tool from Autodesk is built. That's what Claire's talking about. You use Dynamo scripts that you author to publish to the Autodesk generative design tool to run those. So just for those that don't know that.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
All right. So one other detail that I like as well, like if we go back to the Autodesk sample, we also have this option to minimize. Oh, actually it's not minimizing it. This is actually coming up next in the next version of Dynamo, I believe. They are shrinking this card so you can actually see more scripts at the same time. But right now it's just hiding information. So you like have a cleaner look. So going back here. The other thing that I like is like these look different and it's a little more simple, and you can add images and many other things that you couldn't before. Like, and I'm gonna show how to do that on from the Dynamo side, but you can add an image so people can create a more visual link to each script that you create. And super exciting is this details, which opens up a link that is of your choosing from inside of Dynamo. So you can create like a web-based documentation place where people just go there to find more information about that specific Dynamo script that you built, which is very great for Dynamo creators.
That's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say that as an example, I just made a link to our EvolveLAB page here. That's why we see Bill here again.
Oh boy,
Here's Bill.
We see a lot of Bill on that
All
one.
right, let's get
Bring
that
that
off of
back
there.
up. Bring that back
let's
up.
move on to the next topic. Moving to the next topic here. So I did have a question about the folder structures. What's like a relevant use case of that? Would you have like Dynamo scripts that might be for like an interior design group, and then a Dynamo script for your engineer? Like, when would be some applications of having different folders to point to for Dynamo scripts?
Yeah, I think what you just said is a good example, but like even if you only have one place where you put all your scripts for your firm, you still can like very easily go back to the Autodesk samples and not lose the link to those because you linked yours. That was an issue from the previous Dynamo because like when you start Dynamo Player, it goes to these samples from Autodesk, but it's hidden somewhere on your machine that you may not remember where it was. So if you move away from that folder location, then it may be very hard for you to find it again. Now you don't have to make the choice, and you can add as many links as you want here. I think that is the greatest advantage.
Very cool. Cool, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so moving along here, I want to also show how you see all the inputs, right? So on the previous version, this is how it looked like, and you click on this little icon here. The new version doesn't have an icon anymore, and you can click anywhere on that card that becomes blue, and you can open your inputs, which takes a little longer, but it's okay. And as you can see, it looks very different as well. You can, I really like this, you can show only your outputs or only your inputs, and it creates a more defined separation between the two rather than the way you have before. And here again, we have these properties, which we already talked about one of them, the URL, which is the same as this question mark here. But you can also add a description and the author of your script as well, which wasn't even available on the previous version. I think this is very, very interesting and great for the documentation process of the graphs.
Yeah, that is more intuitive, I think, for sure. I like that.
All right. So the other thing that I really like as well about the Dynamo player is that, actually there is so many little things. This locate Excel file path type in title block family notes that are underneath here that I don't have on the other side are actually notes that I was able to pin to those inputs inside of Dynamo. And I'm going to show that again when we have Dynamo open, but that is another level, another detail of helping the Dynamo creators to better document the Dynamo scripts, because now you can just, rather than having to completely rename your Dynamo, your node input title, you can create these notes on the side and right there, and then have more information for your user, so they know what have to do, and they don't have to rely so much on outside on an exterior documentation on how to use that specific script, or you don't have to hack some code block, so you can actually create that step-by-step process and expose it as an input inside of Dynamo player. So it just makes it more coherent and more organized, which is great. Yeah.
I think this helps out end users so much, because you could just, like you said, if you had something a bit longer to describe and you would double click on a node to write all that in, it makes your node really long, and it's not the way to do it, basically.
Yeah.
Like you said, people would just put a code block and they'll put just another entry. It will seem like another entry, but it's just there for documentation to document the next thing. Whereas in this UI, you actually see with the bars, like, no, this node is about this thing, and I could type a little something here, and whatever I type, it's for the end user to kind of understand what they have to type in there. Is that text that they have to type? Is that, is it a type name? Is it, so you could just kind of add the instructions in there without, like you said, going to a separate page, documentation page, to like, okay, I'm looking at two things. It's better to just look at one thing.
Yeah. And you have the freedom to type as much information as you feel fit for your end users, right? So depending on the level of experience that your end user have, you can add more or remove information from here, which is very, very nice.
That's great. Well, keep going, Claire, but while you keep going, it'd be good for the audience. I'd be curious to know how much you guys are using Dynamo Player. Are you guys using just the Dynamo scripts? Are you using Dynamo Player and deploying it to, if you're at a bigger firm, to a lot of the users? it'd be good to get a pulse on some of that, Dynamo versus Dynamo Player. I was really thrilled when they introduced this because it kind of reduces that friction for someone to be able to run it. And then all these new features that you just talked about, like the notes and stuff, just further make that intuitive, which is great. Keep going, Claire, but I'm curious if other people that are listening in, if you guys are using Dynamo Player, it'd be good to mention in the chat there.
All right. The other thing that I really liked about the on Dynamo Player that helps organize the UI for like that helps the graph creator organize their UI better is that now you can force your inputs in a certain order because they're going to be organized alphanumerically. So previously you have to like the order was by placement. So the first input that you place is the first one to appear or the last, and then if you want to change the order, you had to go back to your Dynamo and replace them all again to force the order. Now you can just go there and add to enumerate, like my example here, just add 1, 2, 3 to define the order that would be more intuitive for the end user to input those information. So it's a much easier way to organize that and create kind of like this how to look, like, oh, 1, do this, 2, do that, and then with your note on the bottom, you can just give a little more information if that title is not giving to you.
It's cool. So it's alphanumeric now, which I think is a step in the right direction. I think another step would be great is almost how they implemented the ordering of parameters in the Revit families. If you could also be intentional that way. So in this, though, it's still nice. So you enumerate a 1, 2, 3, and then that sets the order of the inputs and how they get executed. Okay, cool.
And the same goes for the outputs as well. As you can see here, I was able to reorganize how the inputs were placed. As you can see, like the 1.1 here is not the first one, but it is the first one on this side, because now it's numerically, and before was based on the order of placement of those nodes inside of Dynamo.
Yeah, I would have to cut and paste the node so that its time in creation when it was created would be in that right order. So the order of creation of the node was what was picked up, basically. So if I want that one to be first again, delete, recreate, all that stuff.
And it was like painful actually to like organize your script, because then you had to remember and like go, like, and sometimes like you have a long script and like you have one input here and the other one is on the other side, and like you had to move from one side to the other, and sometimes you change your mind. No, now I want to put this one in the front. So like it was a hassle to organize this before.
Yeah, if you forgot one of them, it's like you have to start over, and you would only know when you go back to the player when you close out to see if the order is like, oh, did I do it right?
Yeah.
You go, oh, I messed up. So then you have to be like, okay, slow down, get it right. Yeah, this is really great.
All right. Okay, so let me see. I think I talked about everything that I wanted on the Dynamo player side. I guess we can just go ahead and run this script to see what it does, right?
Do you want to expand? Oh, actually, there's nothing to expand.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, everything's expanded.
So if you look at the sheets on the Revit side, it's empty.
Yeah, so what this script does, like, the goal is not to talk about the Dynamo, this script specifically, but just as a little information, this script is just going to create multiple sheets based on an Excel file. So in the Excel file, we define, actually you're not exposing that information here. We define the sheets that we want to create, and from the Dynamo player side, we just select the location of that, the path of that Excel file, and the title block that we want to use, the family name and the family type, which I'm just using the out of the box family Revit one, but I changed the name to standard because before it was the same one and Dino was a little confused, so I just changed the name of this one. And then this is the sheet from the Excel file that we are taking some information from.
Yep. Like what parameter or what column from that to populate?
This is the tab inside
Okay.
inside of Excel, I believe. Yeah. So if I click run, it's going to open the Excel file on the back.
Oh, I like the progress bar.
Yeah, the progress bar. Yeah, and yeah, it's done. So we have here the outputs, and we create this output to show us the information. And I'm gonna go ahead and play this one too, so we can kind of see the difference.
Oh yeah. So you get a similar window spinning wheel.
Yeah, we got the spinning wheel here, and here we got the progress bar, and the information is always on the top here, and the new Dynamo player is kind of like on the bottom, which I like because it gives you the idea of progression, right? You're not going back to the top. Now you kind of like in the end, and
Yeah, because on the one on the left, like, how do we know how much time's left? We don't. But on the one on the right, you can see the progression across.
Yeah, this is taking too long because it's the same Excel file, so it was like it's already open, I can't run it. That's why it was taking a little longer. Sorry, Bill, I cut you off. But here we can see, like, focusing again not on the script but on the difference between the Dynamo players. One thing that I like is that now we have this second scroll bar rather than having to like scroll all the way to the bottom to see the next node that you have here, your watch node, but it's kind of more simple, and you have this other bar to scroll inside of the watch node itself. I also like that improvement. All right, do you guys have any comment or any questions regarding the new Dynamo player? Otherwise, I'm gonna open Dynamo and see the new Dynamo.
I want to see the new Dynamo. This is
look
great.
at the
though.
chats. Let's go to Dynamo, I think.
Yeah.
Right, so
This is cool.
I do like the new UI though. Just as a comment, it feels much sleeker, like the progress bar that we were talking about a minute ago. I like the white. Even seeing like the two next to each other, the one on the right feels much more modern and fresh from a UI perspective. And I think it's more intuitive as well. So I like
I would agree. As someone who doesn't have much Dynamo experience, just comparing the two, it seems like some major improvements.
Yeah, and especially the bottom bar where it stays persistent, where it doesn't matter how you're scrolling through. The top and the bottom are kind of like these, like, hey, this is like your app part of it, and then you're just scrolling through inputs or outputs. Whereas the other one was kind of have this big scroll view that everything was within the scroll view, even like the one button. So I also like that design choice there.
I want to see what you guys think about this next design choice, because on the other version, if you want to just go back inside of your Dynamo from Dynamo player, everything is exposed from this window that we are here right now, and you can just click on this button. Now we don't have that button exposed anymore. We had to either go through the kebab and go to edit graph, or we go back and then we hit the edit Dynamo. I remember having discussions about this on the demo that we have with the Autodesk team, and they were like, some of the conversations were that this is not a button that the end user needs to to experience a lot, so they made the decision to hide it because it's more of like a admin or the Dynamo creator that they are more familiar with the Dynamo player environment, so they don't click on it by mistake and end up like wasting some time just because Dynamo is opening in the background and maybe get confused with like, what is happening? What is this noodles in my, because they're not used to actually being exposed to Dynamo. But I was wondering what your guys' thought on that.
Yeah, I think I like it there. I think it's kind of described in this view, kind of describes it what it is, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other one, when you're at the high level, it's kind of a quick thing. So being kind of someone who's very comfortable editing them, I like that, but I hope that wouldn't be something like an impediment for most end users that don't even open Dynamo for that
Mm-hmm.
portion. They just probably execute it with the player.
Yeah, I was like, I have clicked on the older version of the Dynamo. I've clicked on this by mistake many times, trying to click on this other one, and it was a little frustrating because then I had to wait. Like Dynamo takes a little while to open, so it's kind of nice. Like, sometimes hiding things is a plus. You don't want to expose too much. So I really agree that this was a good choice.
Cool.
We had a quick question from Madison. Wanted to know, is Dynamo built on Python? What code language is Dynamo built on?
So Dynamo's actually built on mostly C#. It's open source, so you can actually even see the repo. And if you want to learn more about kind of how Dynamo operates on a technical level, it's really cool to go through that code base. Obviously, it uses WPF for the front end, and then the Dynamo player is closed source, but it seems like that one's using WebStack, so I would assume JavaScript and things like that. Python, though, you could write Python nodes in Dynamo, so it does kind of, there you go. So you could have and actually, I think that was a copy from one of the packages if we just wanted to extract the Python node. But yes, you could write Python code as a node, basically, and it will execute it that way.
Cool, thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the new Dynamo. We could open. Do you guys think we should open the other Dynamo as well? I don't want to overcrowd here right now, but the Dynamo looks very different now. Not too different, but very different. The nodes are dark mode now, which I don't know if it's the best choice. Some people love dark mode, but I just like, since everything else is light, I feel like maybe it makes it a little harder. But maybe it's just getting used to this new version too. The nodes
I personally like it.
You
actually.
like it? I knew you were
do
gonna
like
say
the dark
that.
mode. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is great. So yeah, again, obviously a bit subjective there, and everyone's gonna have their own kind of aesthetic opinions there. But I like it.
Did you guys remember or know what used Dynamo when it had the yellow nodes?
Yeah, I don't think I've used it back then, but I was reading so much documentation that was like that when I was learning it. So
yeah, we went from yellow to gray to black. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it either. I like some of the, like, I like these color inputs. I think those are pretty cool.
Yeah, they look nice.
But I might be with you, Claire. I don't know if I love the dark mode yet. Maybe it'll grow on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that an editable parameter, or can you change it from one to the other, or is it just?
Oh yeah, good question, Jim.
Good question. I think right now you can't change, but maybe that is something that they may expose to the users later, and you can choose between dark and light mode. I don't see a reason why you couldn't, right? Like
probably be under the view tab, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that usually where they hide all those kinds of settings? You don't need to look now unless you want.
Can you roll back to yellow mode?
You always can, Jim. All you gotta do is install the older version.
Yeah, install the older version.
Yeah.
How
You
far
can
back
go
are we
back
going
and
to get
use
to get?
Revit. Just start using Revit 14 again, and you can
Yeah, there
have
we
all
go.
the features of that.
Totally
age.
worth it.
Yeah.
On a real note, though, if you really wanted to, I think because it's open source, you can actually figure out how to call that, and either there might be an exposed way to do it, and actually do it via like a little Dynamo extension, because Dynamo can have extensions, and then so you actually totally can, and you can make them any colors. I think I've seen actually there's a package. I'm forgetting the name, but there's like a package out there that exactly does that. You actually color all your nodes any color you want. Basically, you can choose the colors, and it's not just the groups, but the colors of the nodes. And so you could definitely kind of customize that if you really, really want that.
If you really don't like the new dark mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. The nodes too, they have increased by 20%. So that may be a little challenging to people that when they first transition their scripts to this new version, because everything is going to be like super crowded, because the script increased, but then you're gonna have to reorganize them again to fit this new scale, right? The good side is that you can actually very easily reorganize your script, right? So if everything is kind of like all jammed together here, you can just press Ctrl L. You have to select and press Ctrl L, and it's going to organize your script again. So it is a little challenging, but it's not a big deal. Just like 10 minutes of your day, and you're going to be able to get it back and running and nice looking. You had
Very
a comment, Bill? Sorry.
No, I think it's cool. I mean, I think probably my brain's catching up, but I was thinking through, like Dynamo to me is relative, like it's not like, oh, this script's like an 1/8 inch equals, something. But because the blocks got bigger relatively, then they expand bigger, so it makes sense. So I don't know. Is that correct in my assumption on that?
Yeah, so like for example, I don't have this organized that way anymore, but when this is an old script that we just rolled to this new version, and when I open it, they were all jammed like this, right? Because everything increased the 20%. That was basically the space between the nodes before, which oh man, now I had to manually reposition all my nodes again. But you can actually just do that with Ctrl L, or go to, you select view, is it view, edit, clean up node, and you organize it again. So
can you select multiple and do that?
Yeah, you can select your whole script, like if you do that, you just click Ctrl L and it organizes for you back.
Nice.
Right. And this is not, I don't think it's a new feature in Dynamo. It already existed before. Oh, look at what it did. It jammed one group inside of the other. Okay, let me Ctrl Z that. So some things are still in progress.
I think that one group is inside of the other groups, yeah.
Yeah, but it automatically puts one group inside of the other. Right? When I was reorganizing. Because right now,
oh, that makes sense. So you use Control L, and then because it reorganized things, it didn't take a mouse move to put inside of it. Because currently the behavior is if you drag and drop it into the group, it groups it. But
yeah, if I drag and you can see with the grouping, right?
Right.
You drag, and the group that is going into become gray on the edges, and it means that you're adding it inside of that group now.
Right.
But then
I think you could right click the orange group and ungroup, or take out a group.
Ungroup. No.
Oh, didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. So I think this may be a little bug right now, because I was just trying to move it away. Oh, now I can. I was having a hard time actually moving this away from the other nodes. You can still have it inside of a group and still move it inside of that super group, right? That's what I was trying to do. So like for a second there, I couldn't grab it anymore because it was grabbing both groups at the same time. So I just had to wait a little bit.
Yeah,
So
correct me if I'm wrong, Clara, but I think the way it works also is you could have nested groups now, but you can only have like one level nested groups. You can like keep on nesting to infinity.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like as you can see, this super group has 2 groups inside, but they cannot have a third group level in here for now. But I believe it's a feature that they are working on, so you can nest as many groups as you want to, which I think would be also a great improvement. All right, so the other really great thing about groups now, and I actually want to go back and I want to distribute outside of my group. Yeah, like that. The other cool thing about that I really like about groups now is that you can collapse them. So you can have this much more like neat, organized script, and you can kind of see the inputs and the outputs going out of that group as if it was just like a big node, right?
I really like this feature a lot.
Yeah.
I love this feature. I think even in this graph, you'll see that there's like beginning nodes that try to simulate that in the previous version of Dynamo. And the first node was just kind of a node to capture all the inputs basically in the group. So you don't have kind of strings all over the place. And now this is automatic basically. When you collapse a group, you get all your inputs in the beginning. It's like a big node basically. And you see all the inputs in the beginning and you see all the outputs out of it, which is so intuitive, I think, intuitive way to actually work with groups this way. So I really liked seeing this feature developed and integrated in Dynamo.
Yeah, one on my wish list though, I feel like they could have a better way for us to organize the outputs, because right now this is not giving me much information of what is actually coming out. And one thing that I like to do, and I think I learned that from you, Ben, was to create this like watch node or like a code block to name your outputs from that group. And it would be super nice if that was somehow exposed on this output. So I kind of like, oh, this is not just an output, this is my read Excel sheet per unit information. So whenever I'm in the collapse mode, I know what that output means, right? Yeah.
That's cool.
And I think the last thing that I want to talk about groups is that you can also now have a description part. So you don't have to create like super long titles anymore that is trying to describe everything. You can have a title and a more smaller in size description here that explains in more words what that group is doing.
I like that a lot.
Like that too. Yeah.
That's great. I'm so used to Teams, like I want to hit the heart button. I don't have a heart button. Like I think that's so cool to see that piece of it. To your point, like because those titles they're really large font, and so they can get really long when you're trying to organize all of it. So having that description below is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like also by default, like having, because I think I remember I would have to in earlier versions. They actually updated this in the previous version, but in earlier versions you'd have to set your text font size for like the title bar so it's bigger, and then it's like you can set bigger ones and smaller ones, and then if it's really long you don't want to make it that big because you don't want it to kind of go on the second line. So it's really nice as you zoom in, kind of you just get more information because that's when you're ready to see that information as you zoom in.
That's a good point. Like you have the scale of information, right? This is the amount of information I need to see right now, like identify in which group I want to work on, and as I zoom in, I get more information about that specific group. So I can work on it a little more. Yeah. Okay. Going back to my notes here. I also wanna like talk about the pin nodes that I mentioned before. So inside of the inputs here, we have these nodes that has the pin nodes on them. So since I pin this node like to this, I pin the node to the node. Now they move together. Like right now they don't move together. If I select both and I right click, I can say, is it here, pin node? Now it's pinned to the center, and two things that happens, they move together here. One is tied to the other, which is great when you're reorganizing your node, your graph, but it also means that this is going to show up on your Dynamo player if this node is set as an input. So like this is an input, so this is the comment or the note for that input, and it's going to show up there. So
yeah, I think that's a really elegant way to actually resolve that. I really like that they did that. That's your way, because then in that note you could just kind of type away whatever you want to type away for it, as detailed the instructions as you want to, and then you just it kind of shows up in the UI in a way that makes sense. One thing I would note is I think you could only have one pin node, which makes sense. Like it's just you would pin one node per node. You can't.
Yeah, I do wish you could pin two of them, because sometimes I don't know if you need both of them at the same time. I use nodes to express which package that node is coming from, but that may not be necessary for inputs. So I don't know. It would be nice, like if you can put many of them and then you choose which one you're gonna expose inside of Dynamo player, right? Like this is the one that I wanna the end user to see. These are just for my internal documentation inside of Dynamo.
Right. I think there is like at this point it's a lot more easy to figure out what packages are missing. They even have, I think, a button to like, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here a bit, but if if you are missing a package, it's much easier to now install it from from within Dynamo.
Yeah, you're talking about this. Yeah, so this, I feel like this is not new to this version. I think it's been here since 2021.
Right.
But yeah, you can more easily find the packages that you need. So maybe that note just to tell people which package you're using is not as necessary anymore. If you are from inside of Dynamo, but you can expose it through Dynamo Player too, so the end user knows, my node, my script didn't run properly because I'm missing this package. So you can kind of expose the package in there.
That's a cool way to do it. Yeah, I still see a need, like you were saying. I think I still see, like, because then you have the node right by that node, so then kind of you're reading kind of explicit there, which makes sense. And as people are noticing, we didn't use any packages for the script because we tried to kind of like, I mean, we did, but we copied into Python code for a lot of those things, and we just try to keep it super nimble.
We don't have any packages.
Yeah, that's why it's empty there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like if we were using package, they would show up here. And if we don't have the package that we need installed, they would show up with a red X, and you can just click on them to install that package and like very easily start working on your Dynamo script again. Before you had to go to the package manager, find the package, close Dynamo and Revit, and restart everything again to refresh. But now with the workspace references, you don't have to do that anymore since 2021.
Yeah. So it's a simple way to handle package management. You can't do it for everything. Obviously, there's a lot of good packages out there that are zero touch nodes, and those are very performant, so those are very good to have. But if possible, like sometimes you could go about it that way.
Since we're talking about the extensions, this is the new extension for this version, which we mentioned a little earlier too, because we saw the information being exposed in Dynamo player. But this is how it looks like from within Dynamo. You can select your image here, and you just go to find where your image is, and you can add more information like the author, where is the location for your, where people can find more information about that specific script, or from your firm, or whatever you want to expose to the end user to go to. And you can also add these other properties, which I tried, but I didn't see where they were going to, so maybe this is still in progress. I didn't see what happened to this. I'm not sure. So maybe there's more to come in the future regarding the custom properties here. Any comments?
Yeah, no, I think this is great that you can change the image here. It's all kind of part of this interface. You don't have to kind of go to the player to do something like that. So I think it's great. And then you have all the info here, and it saves it to the Dynamo script itself. So as soon as you kind of load it in the player, it reads it from there. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So more new features. This is something that I was missing in Dynamo, because I know that you can do that in Grasshopper, which is hide the wires. Right now you can. So if you just hover over your wire, you're gonna have like these two options to pop up. You can hide it. Oh no, this one actually created a watch node there. So you can go back there. If you right click, then you have this new options here, and you can hide the wire. So the wire is not there, making your script all confusing and messy, and you only see that whenever you actually select the input or the output of that wire.
And you can just right click it again to get it back, right?
Yes, and you can, if you have it visible, you right click again and you can show the wire back. I do like this a lot. Other
That's
things
really-
you can, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's really nice. Is the I know when you added the watch node, is that new, or is that in
I think
previous
so.
version?
Yeah, I think so, because I don't remember ever being able to have some functions happening from within the wire itself.
Hmm.
And the other one that is like very clearly exposed here is this pin, so you can kind of like move your wire away of a certain area if you need to, or you can even pin it to a group. And now we move. No, wait.
Do you have to go inside it? That's kind of cool.
It worked
Because it's exposed?
before.
I mean, because it's
Do you have to unpin it and then repin it on top of
Yeah,
it?
maybe unpin.
I don't know. I do like the pin thing though. I think it's kind of nice. Both of those two functionalities work hand in hand. Some users might prefer to have the pin so they always want to visualize it, and then you kind of have like a track above where you kind of could manage those wires so they don't go straight through your script. I would try to kind of position my groups in a certain way so that I don't get like these cross wires sometimes. But now you can have like a different kind of aesthetic to your scripts and the way you're kind of laying them out, because you could have this ability to kind of either hide them or pin them, things like that.
Yeah, you have much more flexibility now, and more freedom to organize your scripts.
You make some cool drawings.
Yeah.
Just with using the pins. Because
Right.
you can add multiple pins too, I think, so you could go.
You can make Dynamo art.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Have 100 nodes on each side and connect them all, and just, yeah, okay.
Cool. And we are almost out of time, right? So some other features that I wanted to highlight is the node itself again, where you can like kind of see more clearly now which inputs are required and which ones are optional. So for example, this one, the read as string is an optional. If I remove it, my script is still gonna work. And the way I know that is that it has this extra rectangle on the outside here, which I think it's very cool for those that are.
If you remove one of the important ones, can you show that how that works?
Yeah. So yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So if it is red, you're missing information there. If it is blue, you're not missing the information. So.
I also like the little blue dot by the end of that, because you can see that node was renamed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think before it was. I mean,
before
I like
it
in
was
this dark mode
just
with the blue color basically.
Actually, I didn't know that. I just learned that this blue means that you renamed it.
Yeah.
The node. I didn't know that. Cool.
I like both of those features. I was going to ask about the blue bars here at the beginning. That's great, and how it shows red that it needs it, as well as Ben's last comment on the rename for the node. That's great.
Yeah. Would it be possible to run this script, or you might have to Revit undo? That also kind of shows another different stage.
Oh yeah. Okay. So let's do that. Let me. I need to Control Z. Yeah, I'm gonna just run, not on any Dynamo, so we don't have sheets anymore. And if I go, no, that's not what I wanna go. I'm gonna go here, back again, and yeah, I can run this from the Dynamo side.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting things how kind of when you're watching over a node, the aesthetic of that. And if you get any warnings, that's slightly different too, I think, above the nodes. And we could probably simulate that by
let's
intentionally breaking it ourselves.
Yeah, let's.
Oh, there you go. See what happens.
Yeah, let me just. I ran it before, so let me.
Oh right, yeah, this one has the sheets in there.
So if we run again.
Right. Oh, there you go.
Before you only had like the warnings over here. Now you have the warnings showing up on the node itself, and you have much more information about them that you can to help you identify what the issues are, right? And you can kind of like, this is another thing that I like, because you can dismiss it if it's like a warning that it's happening, it's not important right now, you don't want to bug the script. You can just hide it and it's not going to show up anymore.
It's like expected warnings, like known things. Like you shouldn't be a null, but the node still gives you the right output, but one of them is a null value. And it's like, it's okay, I'll deal with the nulls later, instead of making 5 other nodes before it that deals with the null condition and then filters it out. It's like process my data more cleanly. This one just kind of like, it's expected to null sometimes that error, and then you're okay with it. And then I really do like that dismiss, because before it was so hard to, not impossible, but like to make sure that your graph really has no errors. Like it just can't have any errors. And you always have one thing for different kind of conditions. And now it's like, well, I know this could actually have an error condition, so you can just put that. And then when you get a warning in the play or anywhere else, it's actually something that is unexpected. So it kind of creates that, which is really good, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
But
that's really great. Yeah, we're at time, so this is really great. Clara, thanks so much for running us through this. I learned a ton during this session, so I really appreciate you showing.
Yeah.
Anytime.
For those that are listening in, if you guys want to hear more tutorials like this, encourage people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're just about to hit 10,000, so pretty excited about that. We try to provide free content for you guys to continue learning, as I love learning and learned a lot from this one. We also like to give away a lot of free stuff, so we're actually going to be sharing this Dynamo script. For those that don't know, we do have a membership. We have a free tier, and in here, if you go to our website under scripts, we'll be posting this script here for those to be able to download and be able to test it out, run it through some of the paces. if you want to script the create sheets. We also have some other ones for auto documentation, Excel interoperability, etc. And then also we have some new tools that are coming out, Helix for interoperability, but also Glyph, which also helps with a lot of documentation. So we encourage people to sign up for the closed beta on that side of it if you haven't already. Should be pretty cool. A lot of the same kind of routine Clara was showing in Dynamo is available within a Revit add-in, which will be great, plus much more. So just wanted to close this out on that. Clara, thanks so much for the demo and all of your knowledge. It's really great seeing everything that you had to show us, so we really do appreciate you doing that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right.